Pop culture in the United States has long prided itself on being the central engine of global entertainment. American music, particularly pop, has dominated global charts, influenced fashion, and defined what it means to achieve mainstream celebrity. Yet in recent years, a significant shift has begun to unfold, marked by the increasing rise of non-American artists who do not merely participate in the US market but, in many cases, surpass its leading figures. Among these international figures, Jungkook of BTS has emerged as one of the most important case studies. His trajectory demonstrates how a performer trained in a system outside the traditional Western model can outshine America's biggest pop names through a combination of structural advantages, industry evolution, and cultural transformation. The concept of outshining, in this context, does not solely refer to outperforming in chart placements or social media popularity. Rather, it extends to multiple measurable and structural domains: streaming dominance, global market penetration, the ability to command cross-platform influence, and the capacity to generate both cultural and economic capital beyond music. By examining these aspects in detail, it becomes clear why Jungkook has secured a position that not only rivals but, in many ways, eclipses leading American pop stars. Historical framework. From American dominance to global contestation. To understand the magnitude of Jungkook's current standing, it is essential to recognize the historical framework in which US pop culture operated. For much of the 20th century, American artists, particularly those tied to major record labels, maintained a near monopoly over the global imagination. The machinery of Hollywood, MTV, Billboard, and later streaming platforms built an infrastructure that centralized the United States as the hub of pop music production and distribution. Artists such as Michael Jackson, Madonna, Beyoncé, Justin Timberlake, Lady Gaga, and more recently, Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber became global icons, not only because of talent, but also because of the sheer reach of American cultural exports. However, the early 21st century introduced challenges to this dominance. The democratization of distribution through digital platforms like YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and TikTok disrupted the structural advantage previously held by American record labels. Suddenly, artists outside the US could bypass traditional gatekeepers and reach audiences directly. This environment became fertile ground for the rise of BTS and consequently Jungkook as its standout solo figure. The fact that he emerged from this transition period positioned him at a unique crossroads between Korean entertainment's discipline system and the global reach of digital networks. The Korean idol system versus the US pop model. One of the first structural reasons Jungkook outshines American pop stars lies in the difference between training systems. In the United States, pop stardom often emerges through talent discovery shows, viral moments, or early exposure facilitated by industry connections. Artists are typically scouted after adolescence and undergo a relatively short period of preparation before being launched into the mainstream. By contrast, the Korean idol system demands extensive, multi-year training in singing, dancing, stage performance, and media discipline. Jungkook entered this system as a teenager, enduring years of rigorous preparation before debuting with BTS. This early and sustained training resulted in a performer who, by the time he reached international visibility, had mastered a range of technical skills unmatched by most of his American counterparts. His live vocal stability during complex choreography, precision in stage presence, and adaptability across genres were the direct products of this system. When compared to American artists, who often emphasize individuality and raw talent, Jungkook represents a model of comprehensive technical preparation, giving him an advantage in delivering consistently high-caliber performances. Streaming metrics and global chart presence. Streaming has become the most critical metric in assessing pop dominance. Jungkook's solo releases such as Seven and Standing Next to You not only entered global charts, but maintained significant longevity across diverse markets, including the US Billboard Hot 100. Unlike many American pop stars who primarily depend on the US domestic market to secure chart dominance, Jungkook's audience is distributed globally. His ability to mobilize streams in South Korea, Southeast Asia, Japan, Latin America, Europe, and the Middle East, in addition to North America, reflects a structural advantage. This global distribution means that Jungkook's chart performance is not overly reliant on US radio play or domestic promotional cycles. By contrast, many American pop stars face challenges when their popularity wanes within the US market, often leading to a rapid decline in visibility. Jungkook's structural base ensures greater stability. This is further reinforced by the BTS fanbase, ARMY, which operates as a decentralized global promotional force, amplifying his releases beyond the capacity of most US-based fandoms. Media versatility and cross-platform reach. Beyond streaming, Jungkook's ability to dominate multiple platforms simultaneously demonstrates another structural advantage. He not only performs well on traditional music platforms, but also commands presence on TikTok, Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, and YouTube. His appearances, whether in formal interviews, casual live streams, or commercial campaigns, often generate viral traction that American stars cannot consistently replicate. This cross-platform dominance reflects a fundamental shift in the entertainment industry, where stardom is no longer measured exclusively by album sales or concert tours, but by the ability to sustain visibility across fragmented digital ecosystems. American pop stars often rely heavily on one or two dominant platforms, while Jungkook's reach is more evenly distributed across the digital spectrum. This distribution maximizes resilience, ensuring that his influence does not fade when one platform's algorithm or audience preferences shift. Brand partnerships and economic value. An often overlooked dimension of pop stardom lies in the economic value generated through brand partnerships. American pop stars such as Beyoncé, Rihanna, and Taylor Swift have long leveraged their celebrity for lucrative endorsements. However, Jungkook's partnership with Calvin Klein exemplifies how his global reach translates into tangible brand impact. His campaigns have not only trended worldwide, but also directly influenced measurable sales, particularly in Asian and Western markets simultaneously. This dual market impact places Jungkook in a rare position. While American pop stars may dominate brand influence in Western markets, few achieve equivalent resonance in Asia. Jungkook's ability to drive campaigns across continents positions him as more valuable than many of his American counterparts. The structural reality of multinational corporations increasingly prioritizing global markets rather than US-centric strategies amplifies Jungkook's appeal. Cultural hybridity and linguistic adaptability. Another factor in Jungkook's ascendance lies in cultural hybridity. While rooted in Korean music traditions, Jungkook has demonstrated fluency in performing English-language tracks and collaborating with Western producers. This bilingual adaptability allows him to bridge cultural divides that many American pop stars do not need to confront. Instead of being confined to one linguistic sphere, Jungkook operates fluidly across multiple linguistic and cultural registers. This adaptability not only expands his audience, but also signals a shift in global pop culture, where English is no longer the sole dominant language. The rise of Spanish-language reggaeton, Afrobeat, and K-pop highlights a diversification of cultural authority. Jungkook's presence at this intersection, with the ability to engage audiences in both English and Korean, provides him with an advantage in navigating the evolving global marketplace. Fan engagement models. The ARMY advantage. Perhaps the most decisive structural difference lies in fan engagement. The ARMY model represents one of the most organized and active fan networks in modern entertainment history. Unlike traditional fandoms that primarily consume content, ARMY actively promotes, organizes streaming campaigns, translates content, and engages in philanthropic initiatives tied to Jungkook's image. This collective labor transforms Jungkook's releases into global events, ensuring visibility beyond what most American pop stars can mobilize. While US pop stars rely on promotional budgets and label-driven strategies, Jungkook benefits from a semi-autonomous global workforce of fans who amplify his reach at no additional cost to the industry. This unique fan-to-artist relationship not only sustains his visibility, but also highlights a new structural paradigm in pop stardom. When analyzing Jungkook's position within the global music industry, the comparison to America's leading pop names is unavoidable. The US market has produced some of the most recognizable artists of the past 2 decades, with names like Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, Billie Eilish, Taylor Swift, and Post Malone commanding mainstream attention. Yet, when examined through a structural lens, streaming data, fan mobilization, performance consistency, and brand impact, Jungkook demonstrates attributes that either match or surpass these American figures. This is not to diminish the achievements of US artists, but rather to highlight the ways in which the dynamics of global pop are shifting. Jungkook's ascent illustrates how a performer emerging from outside the American entertainment machine can not only compete, but often outshine in measurable categories. The case of Justin Bieber. Parallel paths and diverging outcomes. Justin Bieber is perhaps the most obvious comparison when discussing Jungkook's rise. Both entered the industry at a young age, cultivated a fan base that matured alongside them, and leveraged social media to expand reach. However, the structural differences in their trajectories highlight why Jungkook has gained an upper hand in the current global environment. Bieber's rise was fueled by YouTube discovery in the late 2000s, eventually leading to mainstream backing from US labels. His popularity surged within the US and expanded outward, but the foundation of his success remained centered in the American market. Over time, fluctuations in public perception, personal controversies, and industry overexposure created cycles of decline and recovery in his career. Jungkook, by contrast, entered through a collective structure BTS supported by a disciplined training system and a fan base that operated transnationally from the beginning. His career foundation was not confined to one domestic market, but was dispersed across continents. This diversification insulated him from the volatility often associated with US-based stardom. While Bieber experienced backlash and burnout cycles, Jungkook's trajectory has demonstrated steadier momentum, supported by ARMY's organized engagement and the absence of overexposure within one dominant media market.